Good weekend.
And I'll give you a beep at 50 seconds and then fingers for your last 5 seconds.
Okay. Hello, can everybody hear me?
We can hear you, so go ahead.
Great.
Folks?
How's everyone doing? Thanks for having me today. I appreciate the invitation to come and meet with everyone. My name is Kevinn Donovan. I'm running for Clark County School District, Trustee A, District A. I've actually lived in the district since 1998. I have 4 kids, 3 of which are currently in Clark County schools, or one school. They're all at Lamping Elementary School. I have a kindergartner, a 2nd grader, and a 4th grader. And they're really the reason why I'm running. I believe heavily in education. I believe in my kids. They're the future. I want my kids to be smarter than I am. And I think every child in Clark County should have that opportunity. What's going on in our school district here recently it's just not going so well. Oh, sorry. Does that mean I got 5 seconds?
You got 10 seconds.
10 seconds. You know, mainly we see dropout rates increasing, we see class sizes increasing, and those are things I think need to be fixed if we want to solve the education of our community.
We'll begin questions with Travis.
Thanks for being here, Mr. Donovan. Do you support year-round schools as a way to maximize the utility of the facilities?
You know, I don't know that I guess the quick answer is yes. I'm not opposed to year-round schools. My children were in year-round elementary school, which maximized the use of that facility. There are problems with year-round schools. How you address those is debatable, but it works very well with the elementary grade school children. The problem is when you get, like my family, I have 4 children, so when I have kids that are on tracks in the elementary school, once the one gets into middle school, they're not on the same tracks anymore. Same thing once they get into high school. So on a family, it makes it very difficult to synchronize something as simple as vacation or something like that. But I do believe that there are efficiencies within year-round education. From my perspective, I would like to see how to solve that middle school and high school year-round component, because it's not as easy to turn those schools to year-round from the research I've seen.
So Clark County has a history of perpetual expansion of the student population, which has always put the district behind the 8 ball and growing the whole time they're trying to provide quality education.
Right.
That's all changed now, so how is that going to change the mentality at the district as far as if we have a stable student population as opposed to perpetually growing?
Well, luckily, we had the 1998 bond, which was really good that it was passed. Otherwise, we'd be in a terrible situation right now. If you look at the statistics of the performance of the bond, the school district did a really good job at building a volume of schools and a volume of seats.
I think about 10 to 15 seconds.
Now the question is, how do you fill those chairs, right? Because I'm sorry.
Did we overbuild?
Sorry. The problem with the building, from what I've seen and the demographics that I've seen, is it's not so much the overbuilding as much as it is that you've got a population shift within the community. So you have people and families that are foreclosing here and they're moving over here, and then they're leaving that rental house and then they're moving over here, and then once their credit's better, they're going to move back over here and they're going to buy a house again. So I can't even imagine how difficult of a job it is for the zoning and demographics department to track and monitor the movement of all of these children throughout the district. But like in our area of town, we see kids come and go in our school every day. And it's a very challenging hurdle to overcome. But it's always worth visiting the entire district, finding the schools that are underutilized, and trying to utilize those chairs. I mean, that's something that does need to be done so that we are getting maximum efficiency out of our district and our classrooms.
Okay, we're going to move to Karen with the next question.
Good afternoon, Mr. Donovan. Thank you for joining us here today and answering our questions. I'd like to know if you could tell me exactly what the obligations and duties of a trustee are and by whose authority.
I'll give you my interpretation of it, is that the trustee is that. You're a steward of the tax dollars that are put into the system to help educate the student body. So what that means to me is that you have a staff with the school board. There's a superintendent and there's associate superintendents all the way down to the teachers. Within that body of employees, they're running the district, if you will. Then it's the trustees' obligation to ensure that they're spending those dollars wisely or efficiently. So, there's board meetings down at the Greer Building on West Flamingo. So the way I see it is that you have the staff, they put together an agenda of the way they want to spend their money or the policies they want to modify, or whatever the case may be. It's the trustees' job to review that and approve and deny as you see fit for the community.
Thank you.
Next question.
Should school choice extend to private and private religious schools with a voucher system, disregarding that we would need a state constitutional amendment to do it?
Well, I'd hate to give you an answer like this, but ultimately that's a decision of the state. So as a school board trustee, we would have no real say in that matter. But as a school board trustee, there are pros and cons to a voucher system. One is transparency into ensuring that those children are getting educated and that they're actually meeting a standard. Once they go into a private institution, it does become private. The other thing about the voucher system is you're taking tax dollars away from the public institution of education and you're diverting them somewhere else, which does impact the individuals or the children who maybe they can't afford to go to private school. And that voucher is not going to help them one way or the other. So while there may be a lot of pros to voucher systems, there's also a lot of cons too. And at the end of the day, as trustee, I'll abide to whatever our state constitution unfolds on that.
And a follow-up then, would you support allowing parents to choose which school in the county school district their children go? Give first choice crack at a school to the local residents, and then would you allow them unfettered choice in moving to any available school?
Yeah, so that's open enrollment, basically.
Open enrollment with a preference to local students, so you're not forced to bus away from the school across the street.
Yeah, as long as there's local preference to the children who are within maybe a 2 or 3 mile radius of school, depending on if it's middle school or high school, whatever the case may be. If it helps to maximize the facilities throughout the district, I think it's a great thing. But again, part of that open choice, the disenfranchised student, the one who may not have a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad to drive them to that school, we also have to consider getting these children transportation to an open enrollment type school.
Okay, next question.
Okay, Mr. Donovan, first, thanks for coming and answering our questions. One of the things that we hear consistently is not enough parental involvement in the education system. One of the reasons why I think that is because no one knows when you guys meet. And when you do meet, it's always just, some parents upset about a textbook or something. It's a newsworthy event. That's the only time we ever hear about it. What, if elected, could you do with with your other colleagues to get these parents to come in and actually participate in your meetings so they understand what's going on?
Well, first, as much as I'd love to say they're my meetings, they're not really my meetings yet. I got to get elected. But assuming I'm elected and I win, what I would like to see, my district is about half of Henderson. It's Boulder City, which is getting farther away from the Greer Building, and it's also Laughlin down in that neck of the woods. So what I would like to see is, like a video conference type system where parents can go to their local high school and attend board meetings and have access to public comment, so that it is more parental involvement. I'm fortunate that my children go to a school where there's a lot of parental involvement, and but there's a lot of parents in town who, mom's been laid off, dad's been laid off, or mom and dad both work a job, some of them work 2 jobs, and they just don't have the time to get there. So my policy would be a very open door policy and an open stream of communication, and I believe that's what can best help the community. Yes, sir?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Those are seconds, high-tech system.
Leo.
Hi there. All right, over here. How would you address the disparity between the schools within the Clark County School District? Because there are schools that are tremendously underperforming, then there are schools that are overperforming and actually are on par with schools in other states. So how, in the same school district with the same administration, how does that disparity exist and how would you address it?
It's a very good question, and for me, it comes back to really like the chicken or the egg type of an answer, which is more important? Having do educated students bring more businesses, or do the businesses help educate students? Right? At least that's how I see it, and I say that because I work in the casino industry. There are thousands upon thousands of jobs in this town that don't require an education, and they make great money and they have good benefits. From people who fold sheets, to the people who serve drinks, to the people who serve food. And the reality is there are many children in this town that know that. They see their parents doing it day in and day out. And for me, I think one of the biggest things we need to do as a city and a community is we need to be getting more businesses here. There's no reason why they can't be here. And I think when children see that there's another path beyond working in a casino, they'll want to get educated.
No, my question was the disparity in, you have two schools, let's say, I live in Summerlin. The school my kids go to is really great. A school a mile away with just as an affluent a population, their test scores are dramatically lower, and they have actually less resources, meaning they don't have certain programs that exist at my school. Like, just don't exist, they don't have those slots. So how is it in the same area, same tax base, that you have a disparity in the quality of education? Not in the quality of students, but the quality of the actual education being delivered by the Clark County School District.
Well, I'm not familiar with which two schools you're comparing.
No, countywide. I mean, you have schools where the teachers can barely read themselves, and then you have schools where you have where they're all brilliant. I mean, it's literally that type of disparity in some cases.
About 30 seconds.
Okay, well, it's for me, my answer is that while two schools could be 2 miles away, I don't think the socioeconomic is exactly the same. And I think a lot of the problem in the district is the type of jobs that kids are looking forward to. I think it's a jobs problem.
I mean, so how does that address the resources the physical schools have? Some schools have reading specialists, others don't have a reading specialist, even though they need one.
Well, to address that type of question, that's up to the principal. The principal gets allocated a certain amount of funds at any given school, and principals use those. Like at my school, we have a science teacher, right? I mean, that's what our principal has chosen to spend his resources on, and a lot of that is a principal-based decision. Principals run their school's budget and how that school operates. They don't all operate exactly the same. So like a principal can have an internet specialist, or they cannot have an internet specialist and use those funds to fund something else. And that's up to your principal.
All right, that was the last question. Mr. Donovan, thank you for your time today.
Thank you for coming.
That's it?
No bullets or nothing.